My dad abandoned me after mom died. They turned me into their maid and left me alone on Christmas at 11 years old. But when they came back years later begging for $20,000 for my stepsister, I destroyed them with the truth they never saw coming. I'm 25 years old. I work in digital marketing. And honestly, I need to get this off my chest. Because what happened with my family basically left me without a family. I mean, without the family I grew up with. And even though I'm okay now, there are days when I still wake up thinking about everything that happened, and I wonder how things got to that point. I guess I should start at the beginning. When I was 9 years old and my mom died. I'm not going to go into details about how it happened because honestly that part still gets to me, but what I can say is that it was quick, it was unexpected, and it basically left me in a world where suddenly my dad, Steven, who had always been like this super present and loving guy, became someone who could barely look me in the eyes. I think I reminded him a lot of my mom. I have her same eyes and her same smile, and for him that was too painful. You know what I mean? So like a year went by where we basically lived like two strangers in the same house. He worked all day and I spent the afternoons with my Aunt Ruth, who's my mom's sister, and with my cousin Eric, who's like 2 years older than me. The thing is that one day, I think like a year and a half after my mom died, my dad came home and told me he had met someone. Her name was Donna. She was like 35 years old. My dad was 47 at that point. And according to him, she was amazing and I was going to love her. I was 10 years old. You know. And honestly, I didn't know how to feel about it. Part of me wanted my dad to be happy because I saw him so sad all the time. But another part, the part that still missed my mom so much that sometimes my chest hurt, didn't want anyone to take her place. But anyway, I met Donna and at first she seemed normal. Like nice, but it's not like she tried very hard to get to know me either. My dad was like on cloud nine, completely in love, and I was just trying to adjust to this weird new situation where suddenly there was this woman in our house, some weekends. So, like 6 months went by and my dad sat me down one day and told me that Donna and her daughter Courtney were going to move in with us. Courtney was 17 at that point. I mean, she was basically an adult to me being 10, and when I met her, it was super obvious that she was not at all happy with the situation. She looked at me like I was an annoying bug. Literally. And from day one, she made it clear that we had nothing in common and that she wasn't interested in having any kind of relationship with me. Which, okay, I get it. She's a teenager being forced to live with her mom's new boyfriend and his daughter. But what happened next was way worse than I could have ever imagined. The first few weeks after they moved in were weird, but not terrible, let's say. Donna started reorganizing the whole house, threw out a bunch of my mom's stuff that was still around, which destroyed me. But my dad said nothing, and basically turned our house into her house. And my dad, my dad, just nodded at everything she said, like he was under some kind of spell. But things really got worse when Donna started assigning me chores. At first they were small things, like take out the trash, wash the dishes after dinner, things any kid should do, I guess. But then it kept escalating. Suddenly I was responsible for doing all the laundry in the house, cleaning the bathrooms, vacuuming the whole house on weekends, making breakfast, and basically doing everything Donna decided needed to be done. And Courtney, meanwhile, did absolutely nothing. Nothing. She spent the day in her room on her phone, went out with her friends, and when there was food on the table or clean clothes in her closet, she acted like it was the most normal thing in the world, that it appeared there magically. I tried talking to my dad several times. I'd tell him, "Dad, it's not fair. I have to do everything and Courtney does nothing," and he'd just tell me that Courtney was older and had her own responsibilities, which was a complete lie, because her only responsibility was to exist, apparently. And when I insisted, he'd get irritated and tell me to stop complaining, that all families had to work together, that I was part of this new family and had to do my part. Which would have made sense if we were all doing our part, but clearly that wasn't the case. But what really broke me, what still makes me angry when I think about it, was what happened in December of that first year they lived with us. I was 11 at that point. I had just turned 11 like a month before. Donna had gotten this dog for Courtney, a golden retriever named Tucker, and Courtney was obsessed with him for like 2 weeks and then completely lost interest, like she does with everything. So guess who ended up being responsible for Tucker? Yeah, me. I had to feed him, walk him, clean up when he made messes, everything. And in December, my dad told me that he, Donna, and Courtney were going on vacation to the beach for the Christmas holidays. And I, naively, Assumed we were all going. Right? Well, no. They told me I was going to stay home because someone had to take care of Tucker, and we couldn't take him with us to the hotel. I literally froze when they told me. I was 11 years old. I had just lost my mom 2 years ago, and they were telling me they were going to leave me alone at home on Christmas to take care of a dog that wasn't even mine. I begged my dad not to leave me. I cried. I pleaded with him. I told him we could put Tucker in a dog kennel or ask someone else to watch him. But he just kept repeating what Donna said, that it was my responsibility, that Tucker needed me, that it was only going to be a few days, a few days. They left me alone for 8 days, 8 days at Christmas, with enough frozen food to reheat and money for emergencies, and basically told me to behave and to call them if something serious happened. I remember sitting on the living room floor on Christmas morning, watching Tucker sleep, and thinking that my mom never would have allowed this to happen. Never. And that's when something changed in me, I think. I stopped seeing my dad as my dad and started seeing him as this stranger who had chosen this woman and her daughter over me. And when they came back from their vacation, they acted like nothing happened. Courtney even had the nerve to complain that Tucker smelled weird, as if I hadn't spent those days taking care of him. And my dad gave me a hug and told me I had done very well, that he was proud of me. But there was no real pride in his eyes, just relief that everything had gone well and he didn't have to feel guilty. A few days later, my Aunt Ruth and Eric came to visit us. They hadn't come for Christmas because they thought we were all going on vacation together, and when they found out what had happened, my Aunt Ruth almost lost it. I remember she confronted my dad in the kitchen, yelled at him, "How could you leave one 1-year-old girl alone at Christmas?" And he just defended himself, saying that I was fine, that I was responsible, that it wasn't a big deal. My aunt was furious, but there wasn't much she could do. Legally, my dad had custody and she couldn't just take me with her, although she clearly wanted to. From that moment on, my Aunt Ruth and Eric became my real family. They came to visit me every 2 weeks, took me out to eat, called me to see how I was doing, and basically reminded me that I wasn't completely alone in the world. Eric, who by then was like 13, was like my big brother. He listened to me when I needed to vent, made me laugh when I was sad, and always reminded me that what was happening in my house wasn't normal or fair. But even with their support, the next few years were really hard. The chores kept increasing, my responsibilities kept growing, and by the time I was 14, I was basically the housemaid. I cleaned, cooked, did laundry, ironed, did the grocery shopping, everything. And if something didn't get done or wasn't done well, Donna scolded me and my dad backed her up. Courtney, meanwhile, failed high school and had to repeat a year. But according to Donna, that was because the teachers didn't understand her, not because she did absolutely nothing. When I was 14, I had one of the most painful conversations of my life with my dad. It had been a particularly bad day. Donna had yelled at me because I hadn't folded the towels the right way. Yes, seriously. And I was fed up. I went to my dad's room when Donna wasn't there, and I told him, "Dad, I need to talk to you. This can't go on like this." I told him everything. I told him I felt like a servant, that it wasn't fair that I did everything while Courtney did nothing, that I was tired and sad and felt like he didn't love me anymore. And you know what he said? He looked at me, sighed, and said, "Life's not fair. That's just how things are sometimes. You just have to deal with it." That was it. There was no hug. There was no promise that things were going to change, just that cold and terrible phrase that basically confirmed that he had chosen his new family over me. I left his room feeling like something had been ripped out from inside me, and I think that was the moment I decided that as soon as I could, I was going to leave that house and never come back. The next few years, I basically just survived. I kept doing everything they asked me to do. But emotionally, I completely disconnected. I stopped trying to have real conversations with my dad. I stopped hoping things would change, and I focused completely on school because I knew that was my way out. Eric had told me when I was like 16 that what they were doing to me wasn't normal, that no kid should live like that. And even though I already knew it deep down, hearing him say it out loud helped me realize that I wasn't exaggerating, that I wasn't being dramatic, that I really was being mistreated. My Aunt Ruth also supported me so much. She helped me with college applications, helped me look for scholarships, and basically prepared me to be able to get out of there as soon as I turned 18. And finally, when I was 18, I got a full scholarship to a university that was like 3 hours away. When I told my dad I was leaving, I expected him to at least feel a little sad, or try to convince me to stay. But he just nodded and said that was fine, that it was best for me. Donna said something like, well, someone else will have to do things now, with a little laugh, like it was a joke, and Courtney didn't even look up from her phone. I packed my things, which weren't many because most of my clothes were secondhand and I didn't have many personal possessions, and my Aunt Ruth came to pick me up to take me to college. When I got in the car and saw the house fade away in the rearview mirror, I felt this huge weight lift off my chest, like I could finally breathe after years of drowning. College was amazing, honestly. For the first time in years, I felt free. I could do whatever I wanted with my time. I didn't have to answer to anyone, and I could focus on myself and my studies. I didn't talk to my dad much. Maybe we'd call each other once a month, and the conversations were super superficial. Like, how are you? Fine. Okay. See you? But honestly, I was fine with that. I didn't need his validation or his presence in my life after everything that had happened. And then, in my second year of college, I got a message from Courtney. We hadn't talked since I left. Literally zero communication. And suddenly she writes me, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And the favor was for me to write her college essays because she didn't know how to do it and needed to pass her classes. I swear, I read that message like 5 times because I couldn't believe the level of nerve. This girl, who never lifted a finger to help me with anything, who watched me do all the housework for years without saying a word, was now asking me to basically cheat for her. I replied no, simple and clear. And she wrote me like 3 more messages trying to convince me, telling me I was good at writing, that it wouldn't take me much time, that she would really appreciate it. And I just told her no. Courtney, do your own homework. And I blocked her. 2 hours later, my phone rang and it was Donna. She was furious, yelling at me how dare I refuse to help Courtney, that we were family, that I was selfish and ungrateful after everything they had done for me. Everything they had done for me. That phrase made me laugh, honestly, because what exactly had they done for me besides turn me into their unpaid housemaid? I told her that. I said, Donna, you didn't do anything for me except treat me like garbage. And I hung up. Then my dad called, of course, with his disappointed voice telling me that Donna was very upset, that I had been very rude, that it was just a small favor, and why couldn't I help my sister? And I told him she's not my sister. And you stopped being my father a long time ago, and I hung up on him too. I thought that would be the end of it, that they would finally leave me alone. But no. Like 6 months later, during my 3rd year, my dad called me saying that he and Donna wanted to come visit me, that they wanted to take me out to eat and catch up. I really didn't want to, but I agreed because a stupid part of me still had hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better between us. We met at a coffee shop near my university, and when they arrived, Donna had this huge fake smile and my dad looked uncomfortable. We ordered coffee, talked about superficial things for like 10 minutes, and then Donna got to the point. Turns out Courtney had decided to go to college finally. She was like 24 by then, but needed financial help, and they wanted to know if I could contribute. No, seriously, they were asking me for money. Me, who was working 2 part-time jobs while studying to be able to pay my expenses because the scholarship only covered tuition and dorm, and they wanted me to give them money for Courtney. I sat there looking at them, waiting for them to say it was a joke. But no, they were completely serious. My dad started with his speech about how family supports each other, that if I could help even a little, it would be very appreciated. And Donna added that it was the least I could do after everything. The least I could do after everything. Something in me broke at that moment. I put my coffee down on the table, looked at both of them, and said, you know what? No. I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to help Courtney, and honestly, I don't want to see you ever again. My dad tried to interrupt me, but I kept talking. I told him you left me alone at Christmas when I was 11 to take care of a dog that wasn't even mine. You turned me into their housemaid for years. You never defended me. You never protected me. And now you have the nerve to come here and ask me for money? You're crazy if you think I owe you anything. I got up, put money on the table for my coffee, and left. I left them sitting there with their mouths open, and I didn't feel bad for a second. I didn't hear from them for like a year after that. And then my dad called me again. I didn't even want to answer, but I did. And he told me he needed to talk to me about something important. Turns out Courtney had dropped out of college after 1 semester, had like $20,000 in student loan debt she couldn't pay, And my dad and Donna didn't have the money to help her. And he was calling me to see if I, again, could help. I asked him, "Are you kidding? Right?" And he said no, that he was desperate, that Courtney was in trouble and needed family help. I told him, "Dad, I'm not her family. She was never my family. You guys made it clear a long time ago that I didn't matter, so please leave me alone and don't call me again." And I hung up. I changed my number 2 weeks later because they kept trying to contact me, and I basically cut off all contact with them. I graduated 2 years ago with honors, got an amazing job in digital marketing, and honestly, my life is better than I ever imagined it could be. I keep close contact with my Aunt Ruth and Eric. They're my real family, the people who were there when I needed them most. My Aunt Ruth says she's proud of me, that my mom would be proud of me, and that means more to me than anything my dad could say at this point. Eric and I talk like 3 times a week. He's studying medicine, and he's basically my best friend. Sometimes I think about my dad and wonder if he ever regrets how he treated me, if he ever realizes that he chose Donna and Courtney over his own daughter and lost any relationship we could have had. But honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm not as angry as I used to be. Now I just feel like indifference, I guess. He made his choices and I made mine, and I'm at peace with that. Last week, my Aunt Ruth told me that my dad had asked about me, that he wanted to know how I was, if I was happy. She told him yes, that I'm doing great, better than ever. And according to her, he just nodded and stayed quiet. Part of me wonders if he's finally understanding what he lost, but another part just doesn't care anymore. I don't need his regret or his validation. I built my own life, found my own family, and I'm good. Better than good, actually. And that's enough.